Hello, hi, Malenika, I'm Khanya, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Running Podcast. This month on the Running Podcast, we are highlighting and celebrating women in the running community. On today's episode, I am joined by the boss lady, founder of Up Activewear, Meagan. Hi.
Are we going?
We are going.
We're okay.
We've been going. We've been going. This is also the first to have wine on the podcast. Cheers.
This is a proud moment of my life right now. Cheers.
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 I feel like this is the start to a good episode.
Right. I made sure it was like not too big, not like properly poured.
It's perfect size.
I think it's like a good size.
I mean,
for an hour.
Some would call it a vase. And it's a bit bulky. It's big, but I like it. I'm into it.
Yeah.
I mean, if
it's like half a bottle between the two of us.
I always say, if your wine glass is not the size of a vase, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Honestly,
I have no idea.
Have you ever watched Cougar Town though?
No.
It's a series where they literally have a vase and they literally like pour in all their wine and they literally just sit there and they drink out of it.
Red or white?
Red.
Yes. White wine is not wine. Like hot take. Not
so
wine.
wait, in the summer you drink red wine too?
Yeah.
I can't do that.
It's just like it's very acidic. I find white wine to be. And okay, wait. I don't know the science enough on it. But basically, the science of red wine just like so much more profound. So I think that's beautiful.
To be honest with you, I don't know the science behind either, besides the fact that it tastes good.
Okay, that's okay.
But I'm a red wine girl. I like a good red wine.
Pete, what are you?
Red.
Nice. What kind of red?
Pinotage.
Pinotage. A little pinotage.
You lost me in pinotage. I'm definitely a cab sap.
Okay.
Yeah, I like a body.
Yeah, I love it. I love a full body.
Mm-hmm.
Necessary.
Very necessary.
Okay, so tell me about your day.
It went well. It was actually quite a jam-packed day.
Okay.
Full, but I think now that I'm here, this is such a nice let-off.
Yeah. When you left a voice note, you're like, I'm just so excited. I was like, yeah, me too. Me too. It's also just been a longish day. Now we can just chat and have wine. Stop it.
Oh my gosh. I think that's like probably the best way to end a day.
It's actually how I end my day almost every day.
With a podcast and wine.
Yeah. Minus the podcast. And sometimes I'm like, I had to Google the other day. I was like, if I have wine after work every day, does that make me an alcoholic? According to Google, it doesn't, so we're good.
I mean, one glass. Just
a glass or two. I think it helps me like switch off in the day. It's like this like habit of like, okay, now we're going into like, our evening routine or whatever maybe. Yeah.
It also helps you sleep better. At least me.
I think so too. Some people like say like their sleep is like worsened by it, but like I find that actually like it also just calms me,
I definitely find it like more calming.
Yeah.
And it puts me to sleep. That's why if I go out, I can never drink it out. Because I'll fall asleep.
You can't drink and dance?
No, well, that was red wine.
Okay.
But I mean, like, I can't go out like for a jolt.
Okay.
And then have red wine the whole night.
Okay.
I'll fall asleep halfway through it.
Yeah, I used to, and then I started having like more and more wine. So then it just like could have. Wow, that sounds really unhealthy. I was about to say I could have red wine for like every scenario and be fine.
Well, I mean, it's good red wine. What is this actually?
I think it's a blend. Yeah. But I also think that it's like helps me keep me balanced, or else I'd just be like
everywhere.
I think I'd just be too like hectic and like extreme about something. So it helps me keep the balance of like, not being like working 24/7, if that makes any bit of sense. It's like my way of being, okay, cool, let's like chill. Yeah, like and appreciate. It's more of actually like the appreciation of like pouring the glass of wine and being like, how is the day? Yeah, and like it's fine. Like
it's calming sound.
Yeah. Like I purposefully only fill up a little bit of my glass
so you can pour more.
Yes, because I just love it. It's just like it just makes me feel a certain way. Like it's time.
I actually really love like the smell. Also, we definitely are not talking about running right now, but we'll get there. But like when you like pop the cork and like that first initial aroma
Yeah.
that pops, that's probably like my favorite thing.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, so we're talking about running. It's not a wine podcast.
Right, it's not a wine podcast. But I mean, just in case anyone's looking for tips about wine and which wine to go for, red wine's a goal.
Yeah.
But talking about running, how's that going?
It's good.
You got some really interesting runs going on.
Yeah.
I'm actually very excited to dig into it a bit later.
Okay. You can dig, baby. Let's go. But no, it's good. I'm in this like stage where it's like I'm almost like overwhelmed by the goal, if that makes any sense. And I'm also just like really trying to get my why down, if that makes any sense. Because I feel like I've like shifted a lot as a runner. Like I think I used to run like and be like not like in a darker space, but I think I used to run and be like rah. And now I'm like I'm just running because I love it.
Yeah.
You know, and to continue within like an ultra space or whatever. That I think there's like the stigma of like, you know, you have to be running from your demons. Where I'm like for this thing, I'm like, do I have enough demons?
Where are they? Find them.
Where are the demons?
That's wild. That's so wild.
But it's a really cool transition to kind of like
Yeah.
transition as a runner into this space where like I just do it because I really love it.
Yeah.
You know, and I get to like explore more of myself in like a really healthy way. Like how I'm speaking to myself is just
Yeah.
vastly different. Whereas
Yeah.
beforehand it was like not being dramatic, but like, you know, like, come on, bitch. Come on, you piece of shit. I didn't say that. But, you know, like, it's that, like, really hardness.
Does that help you?
Apparently it used to. But now it's like really nice where I'm like, you go, girl.
You can
If
do it.
you want to stop, you can stop, you know? And I do. I walk. I stop. Whereas beforehand, I was like, don't fucking walk. You're a failure. No, I'm like, yeah.
That is so hectic.
It's chilled. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get it. I know for some people that works.
Yeah, I think
but
for quite, I mean, like, I can't speak for everyone, but I think for quite a few people,
Yeah.
you know, like, you get into the space, like, within that, I don't know, headspace in some
Yeah.
regard. So, yeah, long answer, it's been good. I mean, running's always a journey, just with
Yeah.
yourself and stuff. So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
wow.
Where are you at? Because you're also are you still doing your streak thing?
No.
Okay, how is it stopping that?
Yo, the streak thing, I ended on 449 days.
Okay.
And I think since stopping, it's actually been quite interesting to kind of navigate that
Yeah,
space.
of course. Yeah.
Especially because I've been running for so long.
Yeah,
And like, or at least for that long. And I often use that time to kind of like unpack and think and just shut off a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
But I also just realized like there's actually also a danger to that in terms of like, there was a time where I did like decompartmentalize quite a bit mentally, but then there's also so much of it where I just blocked everything out. And I never got to really unpack mentally what was going on. And it just became like a mental block, I guess.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just running just because I just want my head to be quiet.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you get home, everything just like almost falls apart.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? But I think also physically, I was just really tired.
Fair enough.
I mean, 449 days is not cute. So it's a
Yeah.
very long time to be
Yeah,
running.
it's like your like identity being wrapped up in it. I mean, we
Yeah.
spoke about this months ago, like what it's going to be like after, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like how much are you doing, like what are you doing it for? Your identity. So I think that like the pause is really good. Like the
Yeah.
pause in anything is really good.
Yeah.
Because it like gives you that time to reflect
100%.
and everything.
I mean, yeah, I lost my why a couple of times and tried to find
Yeah.
a new why here and there.
Yeah.
And I think when you continue a streak like that, you definitely have to know your why, and that why needs to be something that's very consistent throughout your whole journey. And for me, it really just started off as like my friend was doing it, and I wanted to like help him and encourage him, and then got caught up in it, and then 449 days later, here we are.
It's interesting that you stopped at 449 and not like 450.
Just to piss people off.
Is that why?
Just
is that literally why?
You know, on Strava, when you kind of
think
like
that's
do that
it.
last little loop, like just to
Yeah,
make
yeah.
5K or like 10K.
Yeah, of course.
I was like, psh, 449 days seems perfect.
That's actually so funny. So that was intentional.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. There's Pete over there laughing.
Trust me. So last night I was speaking at the 9-4 ladies' night, and they asked me pretty much the same question, and I was just like, no, I just did it to piss people off. And people started laughing, and I was like, well, let's be real. How many people were pissed off? And a lot of people were actually quite pissed off that I stopped at 449 days. And I was like, well,
that's so interesting. That's you like, I'm going to do this to piss everyone off. Yeah.
I mean, why do I have to round it off? But it's also the whole thing of just like running, of like being competitive and trying to be a perfectionist, but not just running. I think it's just in general. We have that ingrained in us to kind of be like well-rounded off and perfect and this. And I was just like, actually, like...
I like that. When you thought through that, you're like, I'm going to make this deep. I'm going to make this mean something.
I mean, who knows? 449 might be my number somewhere.
That's
might be
cool.
significant to something.
Yeah. I mean, if you to go deeply into it, I'm like, it is actually.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
it's symbolism right there.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll bring out some merch. This is 449.
No, actually, congrats on ending the streak, to be honest.
Thank you.
Like, that's a big thing. Like,
it is a big thing. Like, I think mentally it was definitely massive, but I think physically as well. But I'm also in a much better space.
Yeah.
It's actually such a nice space to be in.
It can get unhealthy. Like, I'm constantly like, I'm constantly like, is this healthy? And like, I don't plan out races during the year. Like, I'll do an event and then see how I'm feeling afterwards.
Yeah.
Because it can very easily be this like toxic relationship of like, I have to train. Like, there was a period where it's like, if I didn't train, I was like, come on, why aren't you training? Like type of thing.
I feel you.
Yeah. So it can you can really slip into that space super easily. I think,
it was also like during the period of like the training for the marathon last year, KSI marathon. Like, I was on a streak and training for a marathon.
Yeah,
I was just like, I was so broken.
Yeah.
My mental health was literally like all over the place. But I think also I learned so much in that period to condition my mind. And when you run a long distance like that, you're going to go through so much. And you're going to be pissed off at times. You're going to be annoyed. You're going to feel all the feels. And I think what helped me get through the marathon is that I learned to condition my mind during training. And once I got to a certain distance, I'll be so annoyed and pissed off. But then I'll try to understand why. And it's because like I'm tired, I'm hot, I'm sticky, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah,
and like,
I'm done. Like, sometimes you're angry for no reason.
Exactly. Yeah. But then I know that once I reach a point in the marathon, I won't be able to finish if I keep being in this mindset. So I kind of had to learn to break that short, like very quickly. And
constant reframes.
Exactly. So it went from like 10Ks to like 5Ks to like 2Ks to like, and I was happy at like 2Ks. And if I can run in a bad attitude at 2Ks, the rest will be fine, So it was a lot of like learning about mentally like how to condition yourself and just be able to push. Because for me, at least everyone's different. But like for me, I think running the marathon is like a 70-30 split. 70% all up in here, 30% it's the training that you've done.
Yeah.
And I think even if you don't have, it's like if you're not mentally in the right space, but you got the physicality for it, I don't think anyone could make it.
I also think it's like about the training. I know like hot take, some people just like they'll bust on a marathon. I'm like, that's cool, but you just ruined all the fun. Like if that makes any sense. Not all the fun, but like sounds, I know so many people do it and it's cool, but like
because my phone.
No. There we go.
Thanks.
It's a dad.
It is my dad. Call you later.
He called you earlier too.
I know.
Do you want to like message to be like, Dad, I'm on a podcast, Dad.
Don't worry. I'll call him back. Okay. Yeah, sorry, you were saying. About the marathon.
Marathon. Oh yeah, like I've realized it's not about like doing whatever event you're doing. It's like about the training during it. Like that's where you learn about your mind and like, that's when things happen. And then like the event is just like, it's cool. Like it's just like the cherry on top of everything else. And like people get so nervous before something and I'm like, it's literally, it's cool. You get your medal. This is where you get your medal. But what really matters is the training bit. So whenever people are like, I just busted out a marathon, I'm like, good for you. But like you missed on this whole like block of like every day you do something you don't want to do, or like you're building up this like self-confidence in yourself because you're doing the things you said you would do,
100%.
And like the negotiations of like, fuck, I'm tired today, but like I'm gonna train anyway, like the blocks that were hard, but you did it anyway. I
love that because that also kind of goes into what up is all about showing up for yourself.
I forgot about the run for a second, even though it's like, it just looms over me constantly. It's right there. I'm just like, what's up?
What are you teaching, asshole? But I mean, I really love that. Like, I love, like, I mean, now we just got into a completely different thing, but like, I love what up represents, like showing up for yourself.
Thanks.
And for me, I know that, I mean, I didn't even know about that until we spoke about it. And I'm very big on like showing up for myself and like, you know, doing all these things. And up just so happened to have the same thing. And I was just like, oh my goch, this is perfect.
Yeah, we did a video. In the video, you were just like, showing up, show up. I was like, I don't think she has any idea. But like, that's like the slogan. It's like, you're doing a great job. Keep at it.
Selling it hard.
Show up.
But yeah, for me, just to kind of like backtrack a little bit. So I'm really focusing this month on women in running. And I really want to highlight some incredible women in the running space who've been doing absolutely amazing stuff. And I think for me, you have been doing such amazing stuff across the board, from like your own activewear brand to like running some crazy distances, which we're going to talk about. Those 100Ks don't go unnoticed, girl. And even like your run that's coming up to Namibia, that's crazy. So like, I'm really excited to like dig in more and kind of like pick your brain a little bit.
All right, well, you go for it. Take away.
I would like to kind of like take it back to the beginning, like how up started and why up.
Yeah. Firstly, it's off topic what you said about like women and running. I met with like I saw him at the coffee shop today, one of the coaches, and he was talking about like women versus men in ultra space, and he was like, women are the most powerful. Like, he just was just like, they are so much stronger, and it's not to bash, but he just was like, they're so much stronger than men, because when it like it's tough, it's always the women, and like for a guy, like, because of the ego and everything. But I'm butchering what he said, but I just was like, fuck, that's so beautiful, because you don't hear that much. You know what I mean? Like, especially women in sports and women in ultra, and there's only like, you know, you do a race and you're one of very few women.
True.
So it was so cool, and he was so passionate about it. He just was like, he believes in making just like women badasses and like crushing men. And I was like, oh, wow. I mean, and I'm not like, you know, that whole, you know, whatever. But I was like, that's really powerful, you know. And he just was like, women they are so strong. They do so well in the ultra space, you know, and like, because the like male ego, so the second they lose their time, or they start hard off the gate, or like something's going wrong, and they're like, oh no, my knee, and women are like, cool, yeah, like my knee hurts, and we run.
Buckle up, baby.
Yeah,
we need to finish your race.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, where up started. I always struggle with this, but I think it started from just like a marriage of just like everything that I just like loved, which was like being active. Before up, I was like in the development, like NGO space. Like I really just loved like empowering people. And then I always wanted my own business. Like I always knew that one day would come. And then I just like had an idea for a product, and with like the main things like the pocket in the back for your phone.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
love that.
Yeah.
And it's not just one, it's like three. Which is great. You can put more than just your phone
in there.
It's
a game changer. So it started with that, and then it just like grew into a brand, and I was like, cool, like we can do things, like we can host events, we can actually make an impact, and it's like not about the product. Like obviously you need to like make the highest quality product you can make, but it's about like what it represents, and it's about doing things and like being involved in people's journeys. Like it's been so cool because you just get to be like, I think active is a very intimate experience. Like why people run or why people walk or do whatever, it's like it's sometimes intimate, sometimes you get mental health involved. Some women are actually really, really insecure about certain parts of their body, so you like get that side. So just like being a part, it's like I just like I was just there just because I love being involved. Like to like host events. Like we did the 4x48 event earlier this year. I just was like,
that was incredible.
This is like the happiest I can ever be. And I was just like looking around. I was like, this is why, you know.
I love that.
That's the why. Is like you had people up at 4 a.m. and like big group of runners, but we had like the supporters up at 4 a.m. and I was like, this is like the essence of the brand. If I can just keep capturing this and like these moments in this type of environment, then that's all that I need. Like
that's so odd. I actually remember joining one of the legs the evening.
Yeah,
I think it was literally the night before I flew out to France for work. I was like, I have to do this. And I was so busy the whole week and I couldn't join. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I have to go.
And so many people did that. We got like random people would join in, and it was
love
so
that.
cool. And we like hung out on the prom. My favorite is like we were hanging out on the prom. It's like Sunday. Fucking no one has slept, and they're just wrecked, right? But we're like. So we'd like sit on like the edge of the gazebo and like just cheer random people on the prom. Like, so a random person would walk by and we're like, yes!
Oh my gosh.
But that's it. Like that's so cool. Like they all like slept at the gym and everything.
I
So
saw that. I
it was,
saw
like,
the whole setup, like
yeah.
underweights, like the whole
Yo,
bars
they-
and
they-
everything
they-
in between.
It was incredible what
Some on the
people did.
treadmill. I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I was like up for each run, like joined for a few. But yeah, it was cool. Like seeing what people were doing. Some people were like running for the first time.
Yeah.
Ever. Like some girl did 10K and she busted out that whole challenge. It was cool. And it was cool to see people
love
like
that.
surprise themselves. And that's what's cool
Yeah.
about running is like there's this constant like ceiling that you're able to push past, you know,
Yeah.
if you believe in yourself enough, you know?
But there's also like this cool thing like in Cape Town with just like the running community.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
just people, like also the community just looks so attractive that people want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So they start
They say
running.
like running's like trendy now, you know? Yeah.
Listen, if
It's
you're
like-
not a part of a group or a crew, what are
are
you
you
doing? What are you doing? I like my friend always says like there's no better time than now to join a run crew.
Is it raining? Oh, I love just port. I just love rain. Yeah, I mean, I started running completely like by myself. I
Yeah.
actually only started getting into running with other people like a year and a half, 2 years ago. Because beforehand, like when I first started running, like no one was doing marathons. Like I did,
Yeah.
and I just loved running by myself. So it's actually a really new thing for me to like run in a group and like
Yeah.
chat while having a run. Like I'm so used to it being a very, very solo experience. So it's been cool actually.
I also think it's cool. Like I was even saying to some girls last night, like how I come from like a sporting background, but like predominantly hockey, which is a team sport, and then moving away from that to like running, which is quite an individual sport, but actually with the community, it makes it feel like you're part of a team, and it's so nice to be able to run together. Yes, it's an individual sport at the end of the day, but doing it with people literally makes it feel like a team sport.
Yeah, the right
which
people.
is incredible. And
Yeah.
like whether you're running with the people or it's people cheering you on the sides, like it's just
Yeah.
absolutely amazing camaraderie that I've been witnessing. And
Yeah.
camaraderie has literally become my favorite word.
Camaraderie.
Might just tattoo it across my face at this
Comrades.
point. But honestly, like I think obviously with the streak, I've also been falling in and out of love with the sport. But I think now that I've done the streak and like found my why to running again, it's just like I've fallen so much in love with the sport.
Oh,
and
I'm
like
obsessed. I like cry like on runs. I'll cry because I'm just so happy.
Let it out.
And then like when I'm like I'm guaranteed a little tear watching any marathon because I'm just like fuck, that's incredible. And my favorite are like the back of the pack. You know what I mean? 'Cause you know they're putting in work. You know that doesn't come in
Absolutely.
like easy for them.
Yeah.
And there's one thing I was talking with the coach earlier. He was like he loves coaching athletes that are untalented because they put in the work.
100%.
And he was like, it's the ones that with talent that they tend to give up a lot easier.
Yeah.
You know? So I was like, that's so true. And he's like, it's the untalented ones that work really, really hard. And I was like, fuck, that's a really good way of saying that. I love the second pack of the marathon because it is just like, those are the ones that it's not coming easy. They're out there working. You
I
know?
love
But yeah,
that.
I'm guaranteed
I
I
think
cry.
my heart also like has a bit more not gratitude, but like I feel more for the people in the second pack.
Yeah.
Because that's more inspiring to me.
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause it is
it's 'cause
types
I'm
of
in the
people
second
who
pack, so
running-
maybe it's because I've only been in the second
No,
pack.
these are the types of people that literally run their first marathons
Yeah.
who want to challenge themselves, they want to try something new. So it's not people who are trying to race against the other person or race against
Yeah.
time kind of thing, but doing it for themselves.
There was, I think it was like 2 years ago, the Cape Town Marathon. I like ran a bit with the last woman running, and she was saying that she had cancer
Oh, wow.
the year before, and like beforehand, she did so many marathons, and she just was like, but she had cancer recently, and so she's like, it's really hard to be back of the pack, you know. But I was
Yeah.
like, that's beautiful. Like that's really cool. That is a journey.
Yeah.
You know, that's like way more impressive than
Yeah.
I don't like. Obviously, everyone works hard for whatever running time you're getting, but like I think that needs to be like we're so easy to like look at times and measure that as like success. You know, obviously you have it's in our like systems. You have first, second,
Yeah.
and third, but we miss out on like the story of like a person running and that's in the back or a middle, you know, and we like lose out on a lot of that essence of running. And so like that's where it's like it's cool that running's trendy, but it's also like it also paves a path for like the unhealthy part of it, you know what I mean, which is being so focused on your time and your pace and all of that, where you just like
Absolutely.
whereas you know what I mean, you can get lost like very easily in it, I think, you know, and it's like, and it can get unhealthy on your body and stuff. Yeah,
That's so true.
yeah.
That's so true. So just to talk about your running journey a bit more. So you've obviously been doing crazy runs. I've been seeing you like either train or run 100K. Like, what the heck? What are you doing? What is going on?
What am I doing? Like, why don't I just pay for therapy instead? Come on.
But I guess this therapy is even better. It's free.
It is. It's free, and you have like friends joining you in therapy.
Exactly. Make a group therapy at this point.
Running journey. I mean, okay, how do I like long but short it? Yeah, I grew up dancing. And dancing for me was like it was how I made sense of things going around me at like, you know, home that was really hectic. And it's like it was my one constant, I think, and it was the one thing that I knew I was like decent at. And like it's how I process everything. Like I just think when you're younger, you don't have the tools to process certain things that are going on in your life.
Yeah.
And movement for me was like a way to do that. So yeah, I danced up until university, and then while in undergrad, I was like, do I actually want to do this like as a career? Like,
Sure.
I looked at it and I was like, I don't know if this is going to actually fulfill me.
Yeah.
Like it's hectic and you're working other jobs and all of that. So within that, I was like, I need something to replace dance. And I ran the Paris Marathon in like, I think like 7 hours. I had no training, but I was like, I've always wanted to run a marathon.
Incredible.
Like I was younger. I've always been into running, but with dance, it's contradictory. No, yeah, I mean, I had like 5 weeks of training, and people were like, good for you. I'm like, no. But I think I just was like, I
You need
really
15 weeks.
Yeah, I think I
You're
really
10 weeks behind.
I think I really needed something. Like I needed like something like what is that gap gonna look like? Because my whole life was just like Meagan dance. Like you know, it was my way, and I was like, I did the marathon. I cried like 5 times. I thought I blew out my knee. But I was like, this is sick. Like, this is something that can compare to dance where, like, you just lose yourself.
Yeah.
And, like, I think I, like, saw my family on the sidelines at one point. Like, I just was like, this is really cool. Like, it might have taken me whatever distance, but, like, I did that. And, like, I really pushed through some, like, fucking 5 walls.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a cool thing. I continued dancing afterwards, like, through uni. But, yeah, I think you just, like, get to this point where you're, like, you just get to know more and more of yourself. And, like, it sounds really harsh, but I'd like to know what my breaking point looks like, if that makes any sense. And like, how do I respond in that? And like, who am I within that? And then like, as you're running, just things come up, as you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, especially with this run to Namibia, it'll be really cool, because I'm not doing it really for me. Whereas like my journey up until very recently has been like more about me, and my own stuff. And now I feel like I guess for context, I'm doing a charity run to Namibia, which is 13 days, like 55 kilometers a day. But it's to raise funds for mental health.
I love that.
And what's really cool is you get to like, people are sharing their stories, if that makes any sense. And now I feel like I just get to like carry that with me as I'm running. And like, that's been really, really empowering. Because not that I feel like I'm carrying the stories, but it's also like, it's allowed me to be more vulnerable in my own story, because like, I'm an open book, but I think for some people I'm like, okay, like we can only be as vulnerable as other person's giving. So yeah, this one's going to be really cool, because would love to see like what my breaking point looks like, because going to Namibia, there's gonna be a couple breaking points.
That's a far run.
Yeah,
it's not
I'm a little scared. But like more importantly, like the why is not really about me as much. You know what I mean? So yeah. Wow. I don't know if that answers your story. I mean your question. Yeah. That's my running journey. Yeah.
That's crazy. I've actually always wanted to pick someone's brain, but like specifically ultra runners, because it's just like, how do you start? Like, where do you start in terms of like, oh, I just decided, I'm going to do this. Like, what makes you want to do that and then actually go out and train for it? Like,
Yeah.
how do you keep finding your why within that 100K?
It's a really good question. But I think like, so like for me, I love goals that I'm really scared of and I don't think I can do. And what's really cool is like the first 100K, I was new to trail running. Like I bought shoes that year that I did the first 100K, like trail shoes that year. I was like, this is
That's
wild.
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But it's like, it's cool because your mind actually starts wrapping your head around the goal.
Yeah.
And it's so special to like see how your mind starts adjusting to these goals. But yeah, like I love goals that really do scare me.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I can reach them. And obviously you do in a healthy way, like got a coach and in no way, if I get a niggle, I'm out. Like gone are my days. I've done the whole like stretch fracture. I'm going to push through. 'Cause, like, you know, I think I'm a hard ass. I don't like now I'm like, shin splints, nah, I'm done, you know. Like, you know,
What is
because
that?
it, like, you know, like there's a beauty in your body having limits. Like last year, I think my knee flared up like 6Ks into the run, and I was in so much pain. And then I was like, okay, cool. How are we gonna reframe? And I was like, it's cool. Like you're not a machine. This is a long distance. Your knee's in pain, fine. Like, you know, like that's okay. And I feel like just like that, there's beauty in that. Because I think so many people are like, you must like, you know, got to be a machine and like everything has to like be fine. And you're like, no, it's not. Like our bodies like do have its limits in a way.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to, you know,
Find it.
it's just, you know, work with it. But there's like a second part to your question of the why. Yeah, it like changes constantly, you know.
Yeah.
But I think like mine's change, but it's mainly just like who am I within the sport, you know? Because like I think I'm a better person because I run. Like I just think it makes me so much kinder to myself and like people around me. Like you said, like the love for running, you really like you get that in the community, like especially in like ultra and trail, like. Yeah, my headlamp broke on the last 100K, so I did 20 kilometers like in the dark. But it's like the amount of people that just like when I got to the aid station, they were like so keen to just like help and everything, and just like, yeah, it just it humbles you. Ultras, like marathon as well, but within an ultra, you have a lot of things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
And that problem solving, the constant negotiation in your mind, like you learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's like for me, that's a strong enough why. Is negotiating that space, you know?
I would like to think that people who run anything of distance of like 42 and more are the people who probably truly know themselves, because you're out there for a long time.
Yeah. I mean,
There's a lot of negotiating happening. There's a lot of there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Like I think the ultra runners that I've come across are probably one of the most humble people, just because they've spent a lot of time out there on this by themselves.
Yeah.
Figuring out who they are, and also just there's so much to think about. There's so much to do.
Yeah. And things go wrong. Like when my headlamp broke, and just navigating the trails with my little phone torch, and I was going for a bit of a time, and I had to like let go of that time.
Yeah.
And I remember like I got clotheslined by a tree branch, and I was knocked back into the mud. And then I just and I was already so frustrated. I literally fell. I just skidded my way down the mountain. And at that point, I had just fallen, and I was like a little bit about my time, and I cried. And then I was like, you can't cry because if you can't see the trail. So but I learned, but I had like, I think it took me like 4 or 5 hours. But in that time, I was like, okay, like this thing's happened. It's really shitty. But what do you want? Do you want like a good run? Or do you want to run where you're going to like learn? And I got lost at one point. I got like clothesline. I fell down one of the little things. And like that's where you learn about yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my time up, cool. I had a great run, a great time.
Yeah.
But I learned
So much more, yeah.
Like because I had the practice of having to reframe my mind to be positive in a moment where I was so frustrated. I'm like slitting in the mud. So I'm like, how are we going to reframe? Like, you know, this.
It's not
and
always about time. But that's what I love about trail running, is that it's so forgiving when it comes to time versus road.
Yeah. That's why I actually moved to trail, because I was like, this is healthier for me.
Yeah. It is so forgiving, and I love that. And people who run road, we tend to get very competitive with time and all of that, and we struggle to like let it go when we don't make the time. I say we, but like to be honest, I don't really care about time, but I might as well just put myself in that as well, because I do a lot of road running. But you do get like annoyed. It's just like, flip, I was hoping for this time more or less, and like not getting this time.
It can really just like flip your whole race.
Yeah.
The second you like let it get to you and everything.
But I really like the aspect of like it being more forgiving on the trail inside.
Yeah.
Maybe I should do that.
No, you should. It took me like a couple months to like trail, and I signed up for this 100K, and I was like, fuck trail, it sucks. I hated it for like 2 months. I was like, oh my gosh, like I would just like the technical trail. I'm ADD, so I would just be like, and then I'd fall. And then I was like, well, you have to do this, but really recommend. And especially like if you are like in this weird spot with running, it's a lot healthier. Like, it's just not healthier, but for me it's been really healthy because we stop and we eat and like you chat, and it's like little adventures with your friends, on the trail. I love that. Whereas the road can be less forgiving in that regard. Yeah.
What are some tips that you would share with someone who potentially wants to start out?
Do it. Like the first couple weeks really suck, but you have to be like, I'd say more than like 3 times. If you could do 3 times a week, that's awesome. Music, like, I think like, don't compare yourself. I think there's a huge, like, running groups are so great, but there's a huge barrier of entry where a lot of people are intimidated by running groups, and they're intimidated by their running friends. So like start on your own if you can, and run, walk. Like the best thing you can actually do is like run, walk, and slow down so much, because if you're just like going for a run and you're just blowing it, it's like, of course you're not going to enjoy it. Like I don't enjoy that. That sounds awful.
I run to sightsee.
Yeah, like try to find a way to like make it fun, and know that the first couple of weeks are not going to be nice. Yeah. But like even for someone that like is injured and they're a runner, like the first weeks getting back into running, it sucks for literally anyone. But you just have to get over that like hump, and listen to music and run by yourself. Like I think the best thing too is like just start by running by yourself, because there's no pressure. Like don't even know what, like the best thing when I got into it was like no one was doing marathons, like not no one, but like I didn't have Strava, like I just didn't know, I didn't know what a good pace was. Like I was probably running like a 7 minute kilometer, and I was like, yeah, baby, I'm a marathon runner. Like, and that was fantastic for me. It was only until like past couple years I was like, oh shit, like I'm slow, right?
But it's also okay to be slow.
Yeah. So like I think that's it. Just like try to remove that. Yeah. Like and go at your own pace, because you will get injured and you will blow yourself out. And like I see like quite a bit where like someone gets into running, that's awesome, but they're just like every single day is like like zone 5, and it's cool. Like, but no one cares actually how fast you're running.
It's a little too competitive for me.
Yes, it can be. So if you can remove yourself and like remove your ego, because no one cares. No one cares. No one cares. They don't. And the ones that do are just like, it's fine. Like, let them care.
Oh well, they'll figure themselves out.
Yeah, hopefully that's good advice. Just do it.
No, I love that, and I think that also just speaks to like you in terms of like whatever you put your mind to, you do, and you've set yourself some incredible goals that you've either achieved or you're going to achieve, and that's so amazing, and it's also so inspiring. And I mean, I love watching the social media to kind of see what's Meagan next. Oh my gosh, she's doing this, and I love that. But I also love watching other women like doing so well in the sports space. As a woman myself who's also in that sports space, but also finding encouragement somewhere else. Yeah. You get those days where it's just like, I don't want to get up, I don't want to do this, I don't want to exercise, but then you see other women doing it, and it's just like, okay, cool, I've got it. Or it's like body dysmorphia, or like it's something mentally, but like there's someone out there who's like, actually, you know what? I don't look like a runner physically. I don't, but like out there showing up for themselves and doing what they need to do. And it's just so inspiring. I loved it. And I also like, what a time to be alive. Like it's also the Olympics. Same month as like Women's Month, which is great. Oh, yeah. For me personally, I love that because I've been watching so many women's sports, especially like rugby and like how some of the women are built, but then watching like gymnasts and then watching like all shapes and sizes are incredible and they're so welcome. I know.
Peter's sleeping.
Peter, oh my gosh.
It's amazing. He's like, you guys can't see me. He's like on the beanbag with a blanket over him.
Gone. But yeah, I really like that, and I really enjoy watching like women just being badass in all shapes and sizes, and just so encouraging to see, because that also breaks away a lot from like the social media thing of like you need to look a certain way if you do a certain sport.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I do CrossFit and I also run, but I also don't look like either of those things. And breaking the stigmas, I love it. And I love seeing it across the board. It's literally, I'm obsessed.
Yeah. We were actually speaking earlier today about like sharing stories and stuff like that. Cause like a friend knows about like an autoimmune disease that I have. And like, I'm not like my best friends don't know. Cause it's like, I don't like to like define me or like people feeling sad or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, but like sharing our stories is so powerful, because you might be doing X, but no one knows actually how much work that you're putting in, and like how much every day maybe you're struggling with mental health.
Yeah.
Like maybe for me, like health wise or whatever, like that's powerful, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Like the sharing of the stories, and like we always see like the successes on Instagram or whatever, but we don't really know like what people are going through to get there.
Yeah.
So it gave me a lot to think about, because like that is what matters. You know what I mean? Like what was the person's journey to get there? Because like they've completed whatever, but like I don't know. It's like I've been toying with that a bit more. Of like what is like, how do you create moments of connectivity a bit more instead of just like, oh, Megan's doing this cool thing. It's like, okay, well, doing this cool thing, and maybe like, I don't know, but this came along with it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much for just being you, being so inspiring, and just, but also just doing badass things that are just so incredible. And I mean, from like starting your own activewear brand to being such a dope runner.
I will say, I'll use it as a moment, like it's not without ease, if that makes any sense. 100%. I think that like it's really important to know, like you can see people doing things like, oh, it's badass, but like it's not without ease. It's not without like the daily like I don't want to run every day. Like you know, like this week has been like I almost was like I'm gonna throw in the towel up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not without like ease sometimes, you know, but it is with a lot of grit, you know.
100%.
And I think that like that's what sets people apart, or whatever. Not people apart, but like if you can have grit and a little bit like determination, you know, all of that. But yeah, it's yeah, I think that's important to know, because people are like, oh, like it's with ease or whatever, like oh, they're thriving, but
I mean, it's the same with like the podcast. Like it's not. It hasn't been easy.
Yeah.
And I think also people have picked up that I haven't been able to podcast as much as I used to. Like I have a job, y'all.
I have a job.
Full-time job, y'all. And it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy trying to navigate around that and making sure that this is still going. So, but I totally get that. Like there's a lot of difficulty in it, in stuff that you want and like are doing, but also at the same time, like, I think if you love something enough, you'll make it work.
Yeah.
And that's just across anything really, even with like sport, running, whatever, like that's also not easy.
Yeah.
But like if you love it, like you'll show up, like that discipline will come through.
I think some people think that it's just easy. Like some people like find your passion. I'm like, your passion still is fucking work. It's still hard. Like I'm obsessed with running, but like sometimes I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
The other day I was like, I don't know if I want to run to Namibia. But then I was like, well, the world ends, so I have to, you know? Yeah. Like, you know, like I think like some people think just you do something you love and doesn't mean that it's like, you know, you still have the days, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we'll have our off days, but for now, we just
grit,
keep
baby.
going.
Grit and wine.
Grit and wine. I love that. Well, here's our last little cheers to kind of end off this episode.
Yes.
Cheers.
Yes. Cool.
And thank you so much for being on the Running Podcast again.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.